Hey everybody, this is Hadrian. Thanks for watching. Let's continue our Civilization 5 tutorial. So in the end of the last episode, I talked about food and how increasing the food in a given city... Oh, we have elephants there. How did I manage to miss that we have so many truffles, but we also have elephants in addition to silver? That's cool. We talked about food and how it helps your cities grow as rapidly as possible, and how increasing food can help your cities grow faster. Hopefully not make them too unhappy by having too much population, but you get the idea. In this episode, we are going to talk about... Well, maybe you don't get the idea, but that's why I'm here. I'm going to try and explain stuff. In this episode, we're going to spend the beginning talking about culture, because we're very close to acquiring our first cultural policy or social policy, and it's a huge part of customizing your civilization and how you kind of tailor your civilization to your specific strategy. So let's go to next turn, because our warrior has exhausted all of his moves. Turn 4, 3840 BC. I want to move the warrior slowly towards those hills there, because being on top of those hills will help us see farther. I have a feeling that we are on the south end of the Nile, so we're kind of in the Ethiopia area almost. I have a feeling that's where we are, just based on the terrain that I'm seeing here. I think if we keep going north, we'll see the mouth of the Nile River. So looks like we're not starting far from where the original Roman Empire was, but we are starting in Central Africa. So we are one turn away from a social policy and our scout being done. So next turn. Okay, bunch of things just happened at once. Notice that our scout has finished building, and the button has switched back to choose production. That sound indicates that we have accumulated enough culture to acquire a social policy, which I'll talk about in about 20 seconds. But first, notice that we can now choose production in a Rome. Again, the game definitely helps you see everything that you need to do. It does not let you forget anything, which is very, very handy. So, I'm going to build another scout. But you might be saying, Hadrian, for 5 turns and 2 buildings now, your economic advisor has been telling you to build a monument. Monuments apparently increase culture in a city, and you're only producing 1 culture per turn. And we're going to talk about culture in a second. Why are you ignoring this important cultural building? Well, let me show you. I'm going to click this button. I could also click Adopt Policy, because it's the current option. I could also click Social Policies. Everything takes me to the same spot. Social policies are the way that you tailor your civilization to your specific play style. You can pick a few trees here that you like. These are different trees of social policies, and fill them completely out. If you want to be very focused on, say, tradition and commerce, once you get to the medieval era, you can have commerce. Or you can play like I do, and very strategically go for as many advantageous policies as possible, while also pursuing policies that specifically boost the amount of culture you produce per turn. Therefore, you get more policies faster. We're going to go with tradition, and as you can see, when I adopt tradition, we will get an additional 3 culture in the capital, which means this number is going to change from 1 to 4. Just by adopting tradition, we're going to quadruple the amount of culture that we are producing in Rome. Also, in 2 more policies, down here at legalism, we get a free culture building. That's a monument in our first 4 cities. I would much rather have a free culture building in the first 4 cities of the Roman Empire than have to build one at a time for 8 turns each, 40 production each, or however much production it is. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with tradition. But just for your information, tradition is geared towards empires that don't necessarily want to expand, but want to have a strong start with their first 4 cities right where they are. Liberty is for civilizations that want to expand quickly. Honor is for civilizations that want to be militaristic early. Notice that it gives you culture for each barbarian that you kill, which is cool. Piety is for those that want to have more religion soon. So all of these will help in their own way towards producing culture early on. So I'm going to kind of reach into at least 3 of these, maybe even all 4. We'll see. It depends how much culture. If we get lucky, how much culture we can produce. So that's how culture works. Notice now this number has changed to 30. As I mentioned, every policy is going to be a little more expensive, but this number's changed to 4. So in just 8 turns, I'm going to have another policy ready to go, especially if I find more ruins with one of my 3 scouting units. I have this warrior And this scout, I'll definitely be able to have more policies. So a unit needs orders. This scout needs to go somewhere. Notice that when I pull up his movement options, he is not limited to just one tile in these directions as the warrior was. Scouts get to ignore movement penalties based on forest or hill tiles, which is pretty cool. That's why they're scouts. They can move the same distance in all directions, regardless of what else is going on around them, what kind of terrain they're facing. So let's go to next turn. Ooh, barbarian encampment has been uncovered. Yeah, we're definitely in Africa. I know that because this is the Red Sea right here, and this is Saudi Arabia, or what will one day be Saudi Arabia in an alternate history that is not going to exist at all in this game. So let's continue moving. Let's take our scout just straight south. Okay, found some gems. That's good. And our warrior needs to move as well. Let's move him up the coast. I want to point out very quickly, we haven't actually encountered them yet, but you might notice, looks like there's some kind of border there. Is that another civilization? No, actually. You can see that it's a checkered border. That is a city-state. City-states don't actually expand, except in very rare instances, and they're just kind of there for you to ally with and get bonuses from. They will not actually try and conquer or fight you unless they're defending themselves, which they play very differently from civilization type AI. Let's go to next turn again. We're going to fly through turns sometimes because, again, the game will tell us if we have anything to do, and sometimes we just need to let time pass so that we can research things. So now let's go ahead and move here. All right, so this is Cape Town. Cape Town is at the very top of the Nile. Interesting. I think they're on the wrong end of Africa. They're on the exact opposite wrong end of Africa. But you're the first great empire they've met, so they provide you with a gift of 30 gold. That'll happen every time. They're a maritime Cape Town, a maritime city-state. Cape Town is a maritime city-state. So they will give us additional food, help us grow faster if we're friendly with them. Unfortunately, they are hostile. So it will be harder to keep influence with Cape Town because they're pissy people. They will also make requests to capture neighboring city-states more often. As a rule, I'm going to try not to capture any city-states. Just saying. So also they have the resources pearls and citrus, which would be good if we can maintain a good relationship with them because we will gain the happiness and whatever other benefits of those resources. See, citrus is a happiness bonus and a food and a gold bonus, but it's in Cape Town's territory, so we'll have to establish trade with them in order to get access to that resource in our territory. Unless we find it in our own territory, and then we're fine. So this scout also needs to move. I'm going to move him straight down to the gems. Now notice that the gems are on a hill. So when I move to the hill, boom! We're now able to see 2 tiles in almost all directions, except for that direction and this direction. And we've uncovered 2 ruins. So that's handy. Next turn. And Rome has grown. That's what this icon means. We now have 2 citizens. Let's take a look, based on our discussion of citizens, and see where they assign the second citizen. Makes perfect sense. Rome is currently set to be a food focus, and these truffles are now in our territory because our borders expanded slightly when the city grew. So it assigned the second citizen to the tile that's going to produce the most food. If I change to production bonus, it moves one of the citizens here. But it makes the city stagnant because we're not producing enough food. So we'll stay on food focus for now. Yeah, which is the default focus. Default focus is what all the cities are normally on, but I'm playing with the focus for the sake of the tutorial, so that's why we're there. Now let us move this warrior here. Oh, there's some citrus that's outside of Cape Town's territory. Very interesting. All right, so notice we've also got some more resources down here. Some silk, some spices. So if we can manage as the Roman Empire to capture most of Africa, it looks like we're going to have a lot of resources at our disposal. So that'll be good. I'm going to move to these ruins. Your unit equipped itself with advanced weapons found in the ruins. So, pretty cool what just happened. We are now an archer, so we don't have to build an archer. We have an archer. However, notice that this archer, when you look at its bonuses, it can't melee attack because it's an archer, but it ignores terrain costs. That's because this archer was originally a scout. So even though it just changed unit types, it still has that scout-based benefit of being able to move regardless of what kind of terrain is happening, 2 tiles in all directions, which is cool. Next turn. All right, we're going to give the order for the scout to head back this direction. In one more turn, he'll get there. I'm going to send the warrior to the top of those hills. Ooh, lots of citrus. Very good. We need to get a city up there. So this is the Sahara Desert right here. You can see it. Complete with sand dunes and hospitable environments. Excellent. We have researched pottery. So, by researching pottery, let's open the tech tree back up. As you can see, we're still very handily in the ancient era here. Just give you a quick glance at the full tech tree. That's the whole thing. All the way to the information era. So, pottery enabled us to, well, first of all, it allows us to build the granary and the shrine, and it enabled us to research sailing, calendar, and writing. We're going to go ahead and start research on writing, which is going to take 12 turns, because it costs 63 science. So we're going to try and produce some more science soon, so that'll go faster. But that'll give us a free technology very soon, so we want to go ahead and be focused on that. So what do these new buildings do? We have the option to build something in Rome because our second scout just finished. So what are we going to do? We have this granary and this shrine. Granaries are going to help the city grow faster because it produces 2 extra food, as you can see. Shrines are going to produce extra faith. I actually am going to go for a shrine first because I want to start producing faith. It's the one resource that we're producing none of right now. And we want to start building towards having a pantheon, which will give us certain benefits, and eventually towards having a religion, which will help us not only have influence over other cultures, but it's another way, in addition to social policy, to have a customized civilization. And shrine, of course, will take less time than granary, too. So we'll have that benefit sooner. We will build a granary, though. That's the next thing we'll build. It's very, very handy. So this scout, we're going to send... let's send him straight that way. And just into the fog there. Same with the warrior. Straight west. Notice that our mini-map is expanding here. Okay, the scout just expanded, or just explored that that other ruin. We found 90 gold, which is excellent. Can we purchase anything? We can purchase another scout, but we're not going to. So notice that when I select Rome, I can click purchase here, and we can use the gold that we have to buy units and buildings outright, rather than waiting for them to be built, which is quite handy. So we might have the opportunity to buy a granary. Probably not, because it costs 340 gold, and we only have 150 right now, so we'd have to find somewhere that had a ton of gold, like we just did a couple of times to get all the way up that high. But that's how you can use your money to advance the game a little bit faster. Notice also, when you have the city pulled up, this is just a quick tip. You can see how many turns it's going to take for your borders to expand further. They expanded once to get out to these truffles and help the citizen work these truffles. But you can do more. The city will expand further in 3 turns. Can't really determine where it expands unless you buy a tile, which is the other way you can spend money. No, I'm not going to do that right now. But notice you can click on buy a tile, and you can see where you can manually expand your borders if you do want to have control over where the borders expand. So let's go to next turn. And the game is going to cycle through all 3 of our units. This is going to show you a good example of what I was talking about when it comes to... We're going to move on top of the hill so that people can see there. When it comes to going through your units. The game is not letting me forget anyone. Right? Going to turn 12. Ah, we've met Songhai. Okay, so I trust you've had a chance to read that. So, somewhere up here we ran into a scout belonging... Oh, okay. So he has made it down to us. I don't think he'll attack us, but that's good to know that he's that close. Oh, good, ruins. And I can get to them. Okay. This is my least favorite thing that's in ruins. You discover a crudely drawn map which outlines the surrounding area. So now we can see all this just because we found that map. So someone mapped the coastal region here near where the Ivory Coast is in real life. Not very useful, really. Yeah, frustrating. So we're going to go there. And we're going to move the scout onto these hills. Again, I'm just trying to focus. Ooh, marble. Marble is very handy. I wish that the game had a tooltip that explained this, but it does, but it's hard to see. You can't see the benefit of having marble right now. But when you improve this resource, if we were to build a mine on top of this marble, what would happen is that our ancient era and classical era wonders would build faster because we have marble. Good to know, right? So, all right, so Askia is right there. I don't know where the Songhai are. Oh, we've actually encountered... Oh, no, we haven't quite encountered the city-state yet, but there's another city-state here. We do have the option of adopting a new policy. Excellent. So, we're going to go back to the tradition tree, and we're going to select oligarchy. Now, this is a very, very cool early tradition social policy. Garrison units cost no maintenance, which means any unit that I have in Rome or any other city will not actually cost maintenance. Notice right now I'm losing 1 gold per turn on unit maintenance. That penalty will go away for any military unit that I have actively defending a city. Very handy when you want to defend yourself early on. But even handier is that second part. Garrisons gain, and cities with a garrison gain 50% ranged combat strength. So any city, even with just a scout inside it, anyone that tries to attack that city, the rocks and arrows and other projectiles that I hurl at them will do 50% more damage. So it's a lot easier to defend yourself simply by selecting oligarchy. So there we go. A unit needs orders. All right, this scout... I'm going to send this scout back that way, because I just feel like our scout down here can finish exploring the southern tip of Africa pretty quickly. Vancouver! I feel like you're not where you need to be. The game does not place these civilizations, of course, or these city-states, where you would necessarily expect them. So Vancouver is, of course, Canada, but that's definitely not Canada. So let's take a look at Vancouver. So they're a friendly city-state. It'll be easier to maintain a relationship with them, and they're also maritime. So maybe I'll pursue a relationship with Vancouver before I pursue a relationship with Cape Town. They also have sugar and cotton, so some more unique resources. That's good. I want to, I guess, take a moment while I'm looking at Vancouver, and since we've met a few city-states, to talk a little bit more about ways that you can interact with city-states in order to improve your influence over them and your relationship with them. You can give them a gift, and there are several options. You can give them gold gifts just to get a certain amount of influence with them. When you point to this bar up here, you can tell how much influence I have. I have 0 out of 30. So I could gain 50 influence if I gave them 150 gold. I could also improve a resource. Now, if I were trading with Vancouver and they hadn't improved their sugar or cotton resources yet, that would, for 200 gold, instantly connect that trade resource and all of its benefits to my trade network, which is quite handy. So that's a good thing to know about when you're getting cozy with a city-state, that you have the option not only of doing that for them and making them happy, but also helping yourself. But you can also pledge to protect them, which I'm going to go ahead and do, which gives you a very basic relationship bonus. It's not showing right now, but hang on. Interesting. All right. So I thought it was a 5-point relationship bonus, but it might just be... Yeah, there we go. Each turn your influence with them will change by 1. It rests at 5. So it needs to climb up to 5, and then it'll stay at 5 minimum because of the protection promise. Well, it's not going to climb by 1 each turn, I don't think. We have to do things to make it climb, but it'll rest at 5. It's saying that each turn... That's a little bit misleading, so that tooltip threw me off. Your influence typically degrades by 1 each turn. Okay, it's not going to increase by 1 each turn. You have to actively increase your influence by those different kinds of actions that I've just told you about. And of course, you can declare war if you really want to conquer a city-state. Again, it's not very advantageous to conquer a city-state, so we're going to try and avoid that. Moving to turn 14. All right, so we have some barbarians running loose near Rome. That could be problematic. I'm going to go ahead and send the scout in this direction. It's going to take them a couple of turns. All right, so we've explored a lot of Africa, which is very, very handy. We are 6 turns away from having 3 citizens, and I'll make a certain decision about Rome's focus when we get to 3 citizens. It's typically safe to make it 3 citizens. We're going to send this scout to this oasis, and now we've fully explored all of this area. Notice there's still a fog where we have never truly explored, and there's a light fog, the shadow, really, where we don't have any visibility right now. That, of course, will go away as we expand the empire, but that's how that works. So let's go to next turn one more time. Let's see. Yeah, I'll send a scout that way. I'm going to go ahead and explore in that direction. There's the coast of Madagascar there. Moving to turn 17. So much faster turns than Total War. For those of you who might not have played Civ before, but who have been watching some of my Total War series, this is going by a lot quicker. It's the year 3320 BC. The amount, just as a quick caveat, the amount of time that passes per turn slowly decreases as you get to the end of the game. So when you get to, say, the 20th century AD, it will actually, many fewer years will pass per turn than are passing right now. We're kind of flying through prehistory at the moment. All right, so we're going to send that scout there. Oh, you know, I just realized one thing that I didn't mention as far as exploring goes. Some of you might have been screaming at me. I'll mention this and then cut the episode. If you don't want to move all your units individually each turn like this and explore, I like the board gamey feel of actually taking each of my units and physically moving them. If you just want them to auto-explore, you can do that. You can go here to reveal additional actions, and automated explore is one of the options here. Or you can just hit the E key, and it will automatically explore. The only thing is that they don't always make the best decisions. Sometimes they'll infringe on the territory of a city-state. Sometimes which will anger the city-states and reduce your relationship with them, which is very frustrating. Sometimes they will just walk in a direction that is not ideal. I like to have direct control over the exploration that I do, which is why I'm controlling everyone directly. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you can auto-explore if you want. Should have mentioned that earlier. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut this episode here. And the next episode, we're going to give Rome a new order. Probably going to start building a granary, I would guess. And then continue to explore and possibly start considering expanding to a second city and talking about what that entails. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I upload new episodes in the tutorial every day at noon Eastern Standard Time. That's GMT -5 for those of you not in the States. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you next episode.